Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. So today's episode, we're going to talk about realistically being able to achieve your goals, and not just your goals in the short term, but really setting your business up for sustainable and scalable success in the long term. And so right now we're halfway through January. And at this point in time, some people have really great momentum going. Hopefully you're one of them. But a lot of people tend to have that realization that, wow, I'm already halfway through the first month and I'm not making the progress at all that I thought I was going to. And so whether you find yourself in that place or whether you know that you've gone there before in prior years and you want to make sure this year is different, you do want to make sure that you've got that momentum, you maintain that momentum, and you're able to actually hit the goals and the targets that you've set, especially with so much disruption and change and things that are going on in the world, let alone the market right now. And so what I want to focus in on is how do you realistically achieve goals and build sustainable success? And these are things you've heard me talk about on the podcast before, but I want to approach it from a slightly different lens today to really get you thinking about where you should be focused for the biggest leverage and the biggest impact. So you know that I believe sustainable success always breaks down to SPS TI, strategy, planning, systems, team, and insight. And the reason why I believe that is because there is no one individual thing that makes the difference in business. There are things that are very important, but at the end of the day, scaling and long-term success really takes a complete ecosystem. It takes all of the different facets of the business fitting together, and it takes turning the dial on each one of those at the right time to keep things going and to keep things moving forward, right? The reality is we don't have enough time to be focused on all the things all the time. We need to be laser focused and be very intentional and strategic in what we're doing. So we need to know where we need to focus. And when you're continuously turning the dials and you're putting your focus in one place, and then when that gives you the leverage that you need with more time or more money in the business, so you can put your focus on the next place, you just keep doing that over and over and over again, and you stay ahead of things instead of feeling perpetually behind and like you're on that hustle hamster wheel and you can't catch up or you just can't get ahead. Instead, it puts you ahead, it keeps you ahead, and it lets your business weather a lot of the storms that have been hitting us pretty darn hard these past few years, right? And so what does that look like in the business? As I shared, SPS TI is your strategy, your planning, your systems, your team, and your insight. But if I break that down into really simplistic terms, it's really about making sure that you're doing the right things in the business. So are you focused on the right things that are going to make the type of impact that you want, that are going to drive the level of profit that you want in the business, and that are ultimately going to give you that viable, long-term, sustainable business, right? So that's your strategy. Those are the right things to be focused on. The next is the right time. This is where planning comes in, right? There are always so many different things that you could be doing at any given time. It's a matter of being really discerning and being really clear and really confident that the things that you are working on in this next 90 days, in this next month, even this next week are the right things. They're the highest leverage and highest value things that you could be putting your focus on. The next one is your systems, and that's really about doing things the right way. Systems can mean different things to different people. Some people absolutely love them. They might not like creating them, but they get the fact that systems give them time. It gives them back autonomy. It gives them the freedom that they actually wanted in their business. So some people really love the idea of systems. They just may not want to be the one who creates them. Other people find systems to be completely restrictive, to be the things that feel like they keep them kind of stuck and take away some of their creativity and their innovation in the business, right? And a good system shouldn't do that. The way that I think of systems is setting you up for repeat positive results. So it allows you to do things in the right way in the business and to have the confidence that things are going to be done the right way, especially as you get yourself further and further removed from the day to day and you are trusting more in people. And sometimes people, as your team gets bigger and bigger, that you don't even work with that much. So the systems allow you to have the autonomy that you want and to have the confidence that things are still going to get done well and that your clients are going to be well taken care of. So things will be done in the right way. And then, of course, that leads to your team. You need the right people. You need the right people around you. And when I say team, team is broader than just the people who work for you. I consider your advisors, your coaches, your mentors, your consultants, right? Those are part of your team as well. And so whether it's somebody that you are paying to do something for you, or whether it's somebody that you are investing in to really help shift the way that you think or to open you up to new possibilities and new strategies that are going to help you take yourself and your business to the next level, or even if it's a really incredible business bestie who you collaboratively help each other grow as individuals as well as business owners. And so those to me are your team, and your team is beyond the people who work for you, although that is certainly a really critical consideration. So making sure you've got the right people surrounding you. And then finally, your insights are all about the right results, right? Too often in business, people are too scared to let anything go and to lean anything out because they aren't quite sure what's working. And they're afraid if they let anything go, it's all going to stop working because they don't have that traceability to know that it's this thing over here that produced the result, but this thing over here didn't. They never want to say no to anything, which means they keep adding and adding and adding. And that's when your business can feel so crushingly overwhelming. And so to me, this is your SPS TI. It's the right things at the right time, done in the right way, by the right people, and providing the right results. It's really that simple. And as simple as it is in theory, of course, there is a lot that goes into making that simple because it is way easier to make it complex, right? And so right things means you got to say no to a whole lot of things. You've got to slow down to speed up. You've got to take the time to make sure that you're really clear on your vision and you're really clear on where you want to go so you can be discerning, so you can say no to things and recognize that they're not going to take you where you want to go. And so strategy sounds fun, it sounds sexy, it sounds all those things, but if you're doing strategy right, a lot of times it causes you to have to make a lot of tough decisions and to have to say no to a lot of things, right? The next layer of that, you're planning the right time. Again, you've got to be really discerning. You've got to be willing to say no and say, I want to do all the things. But when I look at the capacity that we realistically have for the next 90 days, when I look at the priorities and where we want to take the business this year, I can't say yes to all 12 of these things. I've got to pick two. I really want to say yes to 12, but I've got to pick two. And so again, you've got to make some of those tough decisions. And then your systems, right? You don't want to systematize everything. You want to systematize what's working. And more and more and more, you want to be looking at how can you leverage AI? How can you leverage tools and systems and technology to be able to help you not just repeat positive results, but do things in a more automated and much more efficient way? How do you free up time for things that don't need to be done manually so you can divert that time and reinvest it in things that allow you to create a really exceptional and incredible client experience, for example? And then, of course, the team. How do you make sure you surround yourself with the right team? And as we move into 2025, deeper into the year, as we move into the years that are to come, AI is going to be a really big part of your team. AI agents you will be relying on in some cases as much as you would have relied on people. We just did a topic on this in the Soul Collective, which is my community where we do monthly strategy and operational leadership topics. And we were talking about how AI is really significantly transforming operational roles and how people who are in more tactical doer type roles are very much at risk of being replaced by AI agents if they don't up their game and start to think more strategically and be more of a strategic partner in a business and more capable of doing some of the things that AI can't do for them, because AI agents are going to be really commonplace. So your systems and your team need to evolve quite a bit. If you've got the same systems and team at the beginning of this year as you had last year, you want to really be thinking about how is that going to look as the year progresses. progresses, because it is going to and will need to really look different. And then, of course, your results. What do you need to measure? How do you need to measure it to make sure that you are getting the right results without over tracking or spending all your time measuring, but not actually making decisions based on the data that you're collecting? So that is your ecosystem for what I call almost inevitable success. When you put these things in place and when you continue to turn those dials, that is how you end up creating success. Business success is not as hard as we make it to be. And if you are in a place right now that business feels really hard, I'm sure you probably want to strangle me hearing that. But that being said, really, what makes it hard is everyone has some shiny new tactic or shiny new tool or shiny new thing that you must do. This is the only way you could make money, and this is the only way you could write. You hear these all the time. And we end up like, should I go there? Should I change my whole website over? Should I move from Kajabi to high level? Everyone's going to high level. Should I do this tool? Do I need a social seller? Do I need, right? And so things change so often that I feel like we can get really distracted. And all of those things have a place. Like everything should be considered in the context of what works for your business, your vision, your client, your business model. But at the end of the day, all of those things are frequently distractions. They give you the illusion and the promise of that quick win, that overnight 7-figure or 8-figure business. And at the end of the day, what you really need is the right things at the right time, done in the right way, by the right people, delivering the right results. Right? You need your SPS TI. Those are your foundational things that must be in place in the business. Now, that being said, as I shared, you only need to really focus in on one of them at a time. You may feel like, well, I kind of need to do all of them, and that's true. It's true in the sense that your business always needs all of them, but there is always one and one key area that if you put your focused effort on, it's going to give you the biggest amount of leverage so that you can start to see results a lot quicker. You can start to reclaim either time, money, energy, whatever it is that is the thing that you feel the most depleted in right now. That is usually where you want to focus. Sometimes you focus in the area that's going to give you the biggest opportunity, but usually you're focused on the area that's going to alleviate the most pain in the business. And so wherever you feel like that is, that's the one area you want to focus in on. And when you do that, and when you make those adjustments and those changes, it will free you up to make changes on the next area, and then the next area, and then the next area. And so I'm going to give you a few different things to think through so you know which of these areas is the one that you should be focused in on next. All right, so here is how you know if you should be focused in on your strategy or the right things in the business. And this is if you've got a brilliant vision, you've got goals, you know where you want to go. Maybe you don't have exact clarity on it, maybe you do, but directionally, you know where you want to take the business. But when you look at your current business model, when you look at your current offers in your offer suite, you're not sure if achieving that vision is possible with them. Or maybe last year, the things that you sold for years kind of stopped working. Or maybe you sold something for a really long time and you look at it and you're like, I have no interest in doing that anymore. Like, not only were people not all that responsive to it last year, I'm not that interested in delivering it, or I'm not that interested in delivering it in the way that I have in the past. Right. So that is a really good indicator that strategy is the core area that you want to focus on, right? If you know that you need to reimagine your offer suite, or you want to change up the way that you're packaging your offers, the way you're pricing them, maybe you need to do a big positioning shift in the way that you're messaging them, or maybe the way that you're delivering them really needs to change. That is an indicator that the core area you want to focus on is strategy. If you've got that really well dialed in, then the other areas become really important. But if you do not have that really dialed in, I'm going to say strategy is where you need to focus, because at the end of the day, what you are selling is how you make money in your business. That is how you have a viable, profitable business, right? And so you need to have your offer suite really well dialed in. And there's very few businesses that I've seen that have not had to make adjustments. Some have made little 5-degree shifts in their messaging or in their pricing or in their packaging. Others have had to make really dramatic, more like 80 to 100% shifts in what they were doing. And so if you're finding that your current offer suite or your current business model is not really structured to support you or to support the current buying behaviors that are going on in the market, strategy is absolutely where you want to focus and where you want to focus first. Really, really important to get that right. And then the next thing you want to look at is delivery, right? What I found a lot of people fall into a trap of last year is they ended up putting together offer after offer after offer, just trying to get someone to buy something because sales dried up so much in their business, where buying cycles were so elongated. The things that had been working weren't working, and people ended up in a state of a little bit of reactivity because without that revenue coming in, they were having to let go of team members. They weren't sure how they were going to be able to pay themselves, right? People were in it pretty rough in a lot of cases last year. Maybe you experienced some of that, or you probably know somebody who did. And so in those cases, people in a lot of ways reactively sold a lot of things that now they're stuck delivering this year. And in a lot of cases, they weren't things that they were all that excited about delivering, or they had so few people say yes that now they're stuck delivering it for whatever the time period is. And there's so few people in it, it doesn't even really feel worth it. And so you don't want to put yourself in that same scenario this year. So you do want to, with some intention, look at your offer suite, look at your business model, and make whatever those shifts are, and think all the way through, including the deliverability. If you're selling a 12-month program, a 6-month program, a 90-day program, whatever it is that something you actually want to and are capable of delivering? And what happens if only 2 people join, or if only 20 people join, or, whatever your minimum would be based on if it's really high ticket or kind of moderately priced? What would that look like? So, some things to consider if it's strategy for you. But like I said, if you do not feel like your offer suite is really dialed in and you don't have the right business model that's going to take you where you want to go from a vision and goal perspective, start on strategy. Now, from there, once you've got that pretty well dialed, then we're going to move on, and it's going to be your planning, your systems, your team, or your insights. So here's how to know if it's planning or making sure that things are done at the right time. And that is, again, you look ahead at that vision and goals that you have, and you see so much possibility for the year. You're really excited about what this year could look like, and you feel really encouraged and motivated and energized by it. Amazing, great. But then when you start to get practical, you're like, and I am not entirely sure exactly what we should do to get there, right? You aren't quite sure how that's going to break down to the day-to-day activities that you and your team need to do in order to get there. And that includes both running the business as well as growing the business. And so at that point, you really need more clarity at the next level. You've got the longer term clarity, which is great. You probably know what the end of the year looks like or what you want it to look like. But what's the next 90 days look like? And then what's the next 30 days look like? And then what's the next 7 days look like? What's today look like? And so that's where you know you need to focus in on the planning. Right? Great if you've got the long-term vision, great if you've got some goals set, but if you do not have that bridge between that and the day-to-day work that is happening in your business, then you're not really going to get there either at all, or definitely not in a really predictable or really rapid pace. It's going to be much more of a meandering journey, and it's going to be a whole lot of probably hope and wishes to actually get there. You don't want that. You want to go in with as much confidence as you can, knowing that plans are not always perfect. Things come out of left field by all means. A good plan has space for that stuff, and is agile and adaptable, but it still needs to happen. You need that planned in order to connect that vision down to the day-to-day if you want to consistently hit your financial targets and be able to deliver both great experiences for your client, but also deliver and run things really well and really efficiently within the business. So that's how you know if it is your planning that you need to focus on. Now, here's how to know if it's your systems to focus on or things being done in the right way. Maybe inside the business, things feel kind of chaotic and fragmented. Maybe you find yourself answering a lot of these same questions over and over and over again, or making decisions that you question, why are they asking me this? You feel like others should be able to make that decision. Maybe you see your team make mistakes and you think that should be so easily avoided. They should have never made that mistake, or they shouldn't have made that mistake for the third time. Or maybe you're looking and thinking, I don't understand why it takes them so long to do this stuff. I feel like this should be so much simpler. I feel like this should be way more efficient than the way that they're doing this. That is usually a sign that you have time that's being wasted in the business and that you need systems, right? If you're doing things on repeat in the sense that you're answering a lot of the same questions, you're making a lot of the same decisions, that's usually an opportunity for something to be systematized. If you question if people are doing things really effectively or really efficiently, that is an opportunity for things to be systematized. Really, any place that you find yourself continuously getting pulled back down into the day to day, that is an area that could be systematized. And a lot of times people will say, it's just the team. I need better team members. I don't have team members at the right level. I don't have the right person. This person always makes these mistakes. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes it is a team challenge, and we'll talk about team in a moment. But more often than not, your team is probably not fully set up for success. And the way you set your team up for success is making it really clear what success looks like and giving someone a system that takes a lot of the room for error and the guesswork out of it for them. Now, I have very strong opinions on systems that are different than a lot of people. I do not believe in documenting a whole ton of SOPs. I do not believe that the right answer is spending all of your time documenting with detailed screenshots all of the things that every single person should do every step of the way. To me, if that is true, then you're hiring people at the wrong level because you're hiring people to follow checklists and steps. You're not hiring people to think. And you really want people who can think in your business. And again, if you're just hiring people to follow checklists and steps, you probably don't need those people at all the further into the future we go, because the more and more AI agents are going to be able to do those things for you. So systems to me is not just a detailed step-by-step SOP. It is the entire way that you're looking at things, at your workflows, your strategic systems for scale is what I call it. It's more of your subsystems. It's giving people the guiding principles around things. It's like your brandisms. We say this sort of thing. We don't say this sort of thing. Here's how we approach things. It's not here step by step. Here's how you go do it. It's giving them the parameters of what works within your brand and your values and your vision, and letting them use that beautiful brain that they have and the skills that they brought to the table when they joined your team to be able to go off and do really well. But they have enough knowledge and enough system to support them so that you don't have to constantly answer questions and get pulled into things. They can use their own creativity and their own ingenuity, but they are doing it in a way that fits with the brand. That is key. And so that is A, how you know if you need systems, and B, a little kind of sidebar there on what I think you need for systems. But let's say you've got all that in place and you're still having some challenges. In that case, it might be your team. You might not have the right people to support you. So you know that your team needs to be a focus if your current team is totally maxed out. Maybe you've got a great team, but there is just no more capacity on the team, right? No more capacity. So you know you need to bring somebody new in. Or maybe you've got a great team, but they don't have a particular skill. And so you either can invest in up-leveling someone on the team to develop that skill, or you may need to go and hire someone to come in to bring that skill to the table. But the other thing is maybe you're not getting the results that you expect from your team, and you know that you either need to replace someone or you do need to invest in them. You know that they've got a lot of great qualities. They have a lot of great potential, but they just simply don't have the training or the experience and reps behind them to be able to actually do what you need them to do, or to do what you need them to do at the next level. So usually team is a focus area for you if you know that your current team has gaps, whether there's a skill set missing, you are at or beyond capacity, so you need more capacity in the team, or you just need to up level and get someone ready for the next level, or sometimes just simply replace somebody out. So that's how you know your team and your right people is the focus. And then finally, your insights. I already talked about this one a bit, but this is, do you have the right measures in place in your business? Do you have KPIs? Or I know some companies use OKRs, objectives and key results. Other companies have different ways of tracking things. At the end of the day, I think your business needs a blend of quantitative and qualitative measures, and you need things that are both leading and lagging. This is something I dive deep into and teach people in my certification programs. A lot of people really struggle with what to measure in a business. And so they either go to one of two extremes. They don't measure anything. They kind of do everything more intuitive based, or they measure everything and they've got these big, huge monster trackers of all the things. And in the end, they end up not using pretty much anything in it because there's so much data on it. And so I think you need something in the middle. You need something that does allow you to look at and trust your intuition, but you need actual data as well to be able to see trending and see patterns and see how things are working. And you need to be able to have that traceability. You need to know that you got this result because of this thing that you did. And this other thing that you're doing is not actually driving results in the business. You don't need to spend that money or spend that time or spend that energy on something. So your insights is if you really aren't quite sure where those results are coming from, if maybe you are up leveling in a big way and you know that you need to be shifting what you're tracking, looking at things through a different lens because you know that you need to be working different and approaching things different to get to that next level. Or if you find yourself really overworked, constantly adding without subtracting, a lot of times that comes down to your insights. Doesn't sound like it does, but it does. And it's usually the underlying fear is I'm too afraid to let anything go because I don't know what is actually the thing that's bringing in the revenue in the business. And so because of that, I'm too afraid to let it all go. So I just keep saying yes. And so you end up in a place of overwhelm. And so the concept of leaning out when I'm like, let's lean things out. People are like, no, no, right? It gives them an instant state of panic. That is usually a sign that you need to work on and focus on your insights. People overlook insights all the time. And it's one of those sneaky ones that actually can have a really big impact on your results in your business. So as I shared, you are always going to want to be focused on all 5 of these. You're always going to want to be fine-tuning all of them. The thing is, you just don't always need to be doing them all at once. So think about what is the one area that you think would make the biggest difference for you this year. And again, in some cases, it's going to present an opportunity for you, but in most cases, it's going to be the one area that is going to alleviate the most pain that you are feeling in your business right now. So think through those different scenarios and think through which one area is the dial that you want to turn and that you want to focus in on. As always, if you want any help doing this, you can always put time on my calendar to talk about what it might look like to partner together. You can do that at leanoutmethod.com/consult. Or if you do have a team member that you would like to learn all this, you would like them to understand how to do this and drive this in your business for you. That is what I do in my Strategic Ops Institute is I teach them, I train them personally. I personally train and mentor them, and I certify them to be able to do this in your business for you. Head over to strategicopsinstitute.com/SOL. That stands for Soul, Strategy and Operations Leader. So if you go there, you can see the 2 training and certification programs that I have, similar, but at 2 different levels. One is at more of a strategic level. One is at more of a strategic execution level. But if you'd like my support, put time on my calendar. If you want to learn more about getting your team up to speed to be able to do this to support you, head to Strategic Ops Institute. I hope you got a ton of value out of this session. I hope you are off to a great start this year, and I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.